Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show rolls on. Final segment. And it's awesome we keep a tradition going with our next guest. Anytime I see Illinois State on the schedule, I get a smile because I've been interviewing this guy for the better part of 15 years, which I hope doesn't make him feel older myself, as the Bison get set to return to Normal, Illinois in a matchup with Illinois State. The Redbirds come in a mark of 3-1. They lost their opener. They've won 3 straight, and for the first time in 3 years, they get the Bison in their building. We welcome back to Hot Mike. Brock Spack joins us, the best mustache in college football, though I do remind people that you actually shaved it one time when you came up here.
Yeah, well, that was after a big win. I think we beat Southern that year, and so I made a deal with the players. I did that at Purdue when I was a defensive coordinator. We did that for every game. We put the mustache on the line. And they got it once or twice. I think we got it against Notre Dame once and Ohio State, I think, one time. But they keep track of that kind of stuff. Players hold you to it.
Yes, they do.
Accountable.
It's great to see you. Kolpak was drinking up some old memories here of the national championship game, which is now 10 years old, which is remarkable to think about that. But I know you had the 2014 team back last weekend. How special was that?
That was really special. As I'm friends with you guys, and I think we always will be friends, and we'll always be tied at the hip because we're part of history, being the first 2 schools to play for a national championship from the same league, and we didn't play each other during the season.
Correct.
So that was kind of a cool setup, and always enjoyed, like playing. I love playing against the Bison because they're kind of the measuring stick for everybody, and well coached, great fans, great school. Just a great game. It's always been played well. Players get along fine. Coaches get along fine. It's intense, but it's like any other football game. But it's kind of turned into a little fun rivalry, and it stems from that 14 game, and that all those guys were back, and it was fun to. I haven't seen some of those guys in a while, and they're all in their 30s, and my son was on that team, and he had his 2 daughters with him, and all these kids, and all these toddlers out there with him. It's kind of interesting, hard to believe it. They were just kids. It just seems like, but they're all in their early 30s now, and their families are grown, and it was fun to get around them for a little short bit, and fun to recognize and go through the memories of that season.
It wasn't until a couple years later, Brock, I realized how many NFL guys played in that game. I think I knew there was certainly going to be a couple, but there was double-digit amount of NFL guys that played in that football game.
A lot of NFL guys on both sides, really good players, really good. And that's why I told people that's maybe the greatest game I've ever been a part of that I've lost, and I lost a tight one, a really unbelievable 2 I can remember in my life that were really heartbreaking. One was to Notre Dame up there. We should have won. And then to Ohio State in overtime on their homecoming. We're sent it to, if we win, we go to the second Rose Bowl. But I would say that game, and then actually 3. Steve Sarkisian was the starting quarterback at Wyoming at BYU, and we played in the first WAC championship game that year.
Man,
it was our last game before we moved on to Purdue, and that was a great game. I remember, but I don't think any of those games have anything on the national championship game. I think that is clearly the best football game I've ever been a part of. And just well played, really clean, not a lot of penalties.
nope.
It was really intense. I saw my dad afterwards. I always worried about talking to my dad after a loss, because he wasn't a football guy. He was a basketball guy, but he always kind of saying the wrong thing, But took a deep breath, and he goes, and I took a deep breath. Oh, here it comes. That's the greatest game I've ever seen you being a part of. I said, wow, that says a lot.
Yep.
You've been in some big games. And he goes, it just seemed like every play, the game was on the line, and everybody stood the whole game. I said, you want to know why? I said, why? Because it was.
That's exactly right.
Every play was that important. And it came down to seconds, and I use the term find our split seconds, find our inches, because of that game, because that came down to inches and split seconds. And the Bison made one more play than we did and won the game. And it was a great football game, and we'll always remember that.
Tell me about your 2024 team here. You've won 3 straight after you lost the opener at Iowa. Where do you guys sit right now in your mind?
A lot better than we were. We were banged up. I should have kept my mouth shut. I went into the season, talking about our depth and thought we had developed depth. And, as you know, in FCS football, it's hard to do. And especially with the transfer portal but we had some depth, and I thought we were going to be, solid that way, but we didn't expect, I knew we'd be challenged, to definitely be challenged once we got into Missouri Valley, but I didn't expect to be challenged in training camp, you know what I mean? And we really haven't done anything different, but we just had some bad luck, had some guys, get banged up in the summer that, we're training, and you know how that goes.
Yep.
All of a sudden there's the quote unquote soft tissue issues, and I get kind of pissed off about those things because you wonder how tough these guys are sometimes, but I think they're legit. They're really good kids, but we just got hit by that stuff and just out of sync, and having to play a different lineup every week, and then all of a sudden that's kind of slowed down. We're a little better now. This will be the 3rd game going that we'll have basically the same starting lineup, the same group of guys that we rotate with, and so that helps. As you know, you can't improve unless you're playing, right? And so that helps us. And as you know, football, particularly offensively, is a timing sport, and timing's important. And so that helps. So a little better spot than we were. Wish we lost a couple guys for the season. I wish we had.
Yeah.
But that's part of the game, and we're no different than you guys probably. I mean, I know everybody goes through it. It's just part of it, but it just sucks when it happens to you,
You got a quarterback that you recruited and now playing at Tommy Rittenhouse, which I know is something that you always are looking for. I know you went to the portal for your last guy. Tell me about the development of Tommy to take over now as your starter.
Probably a lot like the guys you've had there. He's not a big guy though. That's the one thing you guys. He's the kid you have right now. Miller's a big kid and a really good athlete. Tommy's a good athlete. He's pretty skilled when it comes to speed. Got good speed and quickness. Just not real big, but he's also he's really developed his arm talent. I think he's over the years he's got himself in the weight room, gotten stronger physically, so the ball comes off his hand better. Knows our offense very well. Has been around, Tony Pearson, our quarterback, and he have worked together now for 3 years, and so they have a very good connection. So I think that's really helped Tommy, and I think the guy we brought in, we brought a kid in from Kansas State who had his big arm. He's a really good thrower, and that's really helped Tommy. It's pushed him to be better in the passing game because. Rubley can throw it, and Jake has been. Tommy's been good for Jake because Jake doesn't run like Tommy, and he's really worked hard to condition himself. And the short time he's been here, he's done a really good job of conditioning and being better and being quicker and all that stuff. And so he's worked hard on that. So I think they've kind of really played off each other pretty well. Pardon me. I really like where Rittenhouse is at, and he's done a really good job. Played well last week. Was as you know, you deal with you're a good football guy, and you have to be. And this is a key for us. When even back in the days I was at Purdue, you have to be accurate. You know, and this offense, if you're not accurate, or any offense for that matter, you're wasting your time throwing the football because the quarterback has to be accurate. So even at Purdue, we take a guy who was more accurate than even a strong arm guy because you got to be on time and on target. And Brees kind of taught us that. He was really, really fast release, and he processed really quickly and was very, very accurate. And Tommy's become better at that. He's become more accurate, and he's even improved this season. So. To answer your question, he's come a long way from where he was, and he throws the ball pretty well.
Couple minutes left here with Coach Spack. We were visiting off air about the Iowa game, which is you're in a catch-22. You love to play those games, but then when you guys get banged up and you lost Mason King in that game, which is All-American running back, and it's just you got to have a pit in your stomach, especially how early it happened in the game and he's done for the season. Just it's a catch-22. I know you want to play those games, but then when you get banged up like that, you're like, okay, how worth it was it?
Right, and that you're exactly right. And we had the exact same thing happen to us at Wisconsin. And prior to that, we beat Northwestern
Yep.
and we beat Colorado State like you guys did, and we had no issues,
Yeah.
and we were fine. But Wisconsin and Iowa are a little different animals. They play differently and they're physical. They're like us. They're
Yeah.
like you guys. I mean, they're like playing a Valley team because they're a run, physical, tough, good on defense, physical defense, and just physical teams. And we've lost to the last two Big Ten teams we played. We lost our tailback for the season. So that's not good. We lost an All-American pass rusher for us in that game. Amir Abdullah he's not lost for the season, but he's been gone since that game, and it's going to be week to week with him. So, we paid a pretty heavy price, and then you lose two preseason All-Americans on one on each side of the ball, and it changes who you are. So it just took us time to catch up a little bit, and I think we're in a better spot now. Maybe not as good as we would have been had those two guys, but at least we're in better than we were. And that's, I guess, all you ask. And I know you guys have had that same issue. You lost Carson Wentz once for a whole season, almost up until the playoffs. The football, it's unfortunately the negative side of our game. The injuries, and hopefully some years you avoid it and some years you don't.
Yeah.
And I don't quite understand it sometimes, but it is what it is.
Last question for you. When you watch him on tape, is this the same old Bison, or is there anything that looks different to you with Tim Polisic now?
Not really.
Yeah.
I wish it did, but it's not. It's really good offense, physical running game, shot plays, really good quarterback, can run and throw, got gifted wideouts, it's very similar. Defense is a 4-down, real aggressive, plays some split safety. We'll run, we'll close out the middle of the field with a free safety, occasionally. Is very tough and physical and plays really hard, and their special teams are elite in my opinion. Very good special teams. Have won games on special teams and just have been really good there. And so it's the same recipe in my opinion of what it's been. I'm sure Tim has done some things differently that we don't see, but the product on the field looks very similar to me.
It's great to see you. I can't wait to see you on Saturday. Thanks so much for doing this, and good luck this weekend, okay?
Hey, have a safe trip down. Great. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks, Brock. Brock Spack, longtime head coach at Illinois State. Redbirds and the Bison coming up on Saturday. We look forward to that. Appreciate his time as always. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up and get you ready. We got a great Sports Thursday on tap. We'll wrap things up right after this.